Welcome back. I'm Christine. I like taking pictures. Welcome to the final day of the Joshua Tree and Mojave trip. We're headed north into the Mojave National Preserve to camp for the night, so we are set to drop off the RV that we had rented in Las Vegas, Nevada the following morning. This is going to allow us to visit some spots that we missed along the way. Our route's going to take us past the desert just outside of Joshua Tree National Park, across mountains over towards Amboy, further into the Mojave National Preserve, where we'll once again pass the Kelso Dunes before finally reaching our campsite for the night. This is the final day of the trip. Let's get to it. So we set out back to Las Vegas from Desert Hot Springs, California. Even though we're moving in the RV, I still ended up grabbing a few photos on the way. Soon we were passing through 29 Palms, had our first photography destination in mind, but made some questionable routing choices. Do you want to take this road? It looks a little expensive. A short way down the road was a spot we had passed on the way into Joshua Tree, but I was desperate to check it out. I wonder how long ago somebody lived here. Oh wow. That's a photo in here for sure. All right, let's go ahead and do that. So I took a couple of photos of the scene and then walked around and came back because this is a spot that I wanted to get it right. I ended up working with a panorama at one point as well. Yeah, I think the contrast again is going to be a difficult factor with this one. But let's discuss what we're looking at here. You have just this old deteriorating home with all of this grit and texture, exposed fiberglass, broken glass on the ground, all these rugs, and then the TVs that are reflecting light. It doesn't get much more interesting than this. I'm gonna have to I worked off the histogram completely as I was taking those. It's really high contrast because you're dealing with a bunch of shade inside of the room here, and then off in the horizon, lots of light. But it might make for a pretty interesting image. As much as I want to, I don't want to step inside here just because, well, nothing looks stable and it's only good until it isn't. Let's have a look at a couple of the photos. Starting out, this was my favorite image of the grouping. But still with room for improvement. Taking the image and then cropping it from camera to a 16:9, I think pulled in the focus more. Let's have a look at some of the other images and why they didn't work out as well. So here's the same scene, just at a slightly lower angle. What do you think is wrong with it? Yep, check out all the debris there, kind of blocking your view of the mountains a little bit. I think it subtracts from the image overall. Panorama is just a little bit too much going on in the scene. Pulling it into a 2:1 crop with just a select number of images did work better, but at this point you're just kind of looking at the exact same image as the one that I preferred before, so might as well just stick with that one. Okay, I think that'll do it for now. Honestly, this looks newer than my oven at home. And we've got a red stripe. Excellent. Keep it delicious. Finger paint. Wow. These monitors they're not really that old, right? Let's see what else we can find on the back side here. I think that's like a radiator kind of thing. Busted toilet. Another range. Huh. This is bizarre. Nice place to sun yourself, at least. always just a surplus of abandoned ovens in places. Like even driving through like western Pennsylvania, I see all the time just junkyards full of broken ovens. All right, let's go see what the end of the world has to offer. The end of the world's looking a little popular today. Since we were sharing a spot, heavy-handed edits ended up being a bit of a theme across these next few images. Short, sweet, and to the point. There you have it. The end of the world. Pretty neat, but honestly, I think the old and abandoned home was a bit more of an interesting subject than the end of the world. We'll give it another decade or so, we'll see what happens. Continuing on, we went further into the desert. Some familiar sights along the way, we had reached the town of Amboy. A quick and easy lunch will park next to Roy's. Next to us, one of the longest trains either of us had ever seen. Here I wanted to slow it down a little bit and focus in on one photo. We're going to use this as a case study and talk a bit about the ethics of editing. Original photo from camera, this is the JPEG, and while it has some interesting components, I don't think it's particularly good. The angle isn't straight, cool mountains in the background, a neat train. For better or for worse, there's a bush in the foreground with motion blur from being in the moving RV. Let's go ahead and make adjustments. Lots of masking in here, but we've really highlighted that train, pulled detail out of the mountains and the sky. Effectively, we have committed crimes with sliders and Lightroom. We can still take this further if we want to. There we go. Adjustments to the coloration. Now it looks like it's nighttime. We can pretend that it's a full moon night if we wanted to. But we can still take this a step further. I think you know where this is going. There's a photo from earlier in the trip with the stars over Kelso Dunes. Why not just take the sky and pop it in there? So I did. Now, this was an exercise to make a point. This final image was made of components that I had photographed. But does that make it photography? Personally, no, I don't think so. I think this falls squarely into the realm of digital art. It's neat, it's compelling, and I can totally imagine a YouTube video being like chill lo-fi beats to study to for hours with this image in the background. But the question I kind of want to ask to you is where do you draw the line? That's a question I don't know the answer to, and I don't think there is one single answer to it. PETA had a billboard a while back that was with animals, and it was, where do you draw the line? It was making the rounds on the internet because people were taking a line and then just throwing it on the billboard. And honestly, this kind of question feels a little bit like that to me at moments. I think for me personally, it is best to take the light that is available to you at a given moment and try to represent it in earnest. There are situations where the water gets muddy though. Astrophotography is one of those moments. Focal blending is another one of those moments. But I think these aspects of the art are best to navigate with transparency. Create art. But if your art is deviating from what is simple photography, be transparent on how you got there. If you have any thoughts on the matter, feel free to chime in on the comments. Anyway, back to photography and this cool lion. Gosh, that is a long road out here. So we're taking a break off of Route 66 because there's two lions out here, one to the east and then one to the west. We stopped over at West Lion. Gonna get a quick photo. What I want to do, I have the 70x200 on, so there's a lot of mountains way off in the distance. I really want to compress those into the scene with the lion, so we'll leave that one on. I think we'll skip the 16x35, but I'll walk over real quick and we'll get a video of that afterwards. Let's walk over and check this thing out. Got a bunch of pennies over here too. Getting a crush one from Amboy, California. Who would have thought? Bunch of bullet casings. Oh, so we've got a lock on a toe, an offering of Carmex. I don't know what this is. Oh, an offering of beads. Okay. Interesting. I want to get one more, because we still have the Amboy crater way off in the distance there. It'd be kind of cool to zoom way in and get the crater and the lion all in one shot. That'll do. Right about there. All right, that'll do it. Well, probably about time to start driving here again. I'm not lying either. We had a couple mile gap in the cars coming, so I went ahead and went for it. Seemed like it was all right. And there goes the East Lion. This is one of those places that I wish we had a different vehicle, because way out in the distance there is a place called Cadiz Dunes. And aside from the road closure, the RV just wouldn't be able to handle it. But it looks like an awesome place. So that one's getting away for now, but I took a panorama just to dream and think about it for a later time. Maybe one day. Got a lot of years left. We'll see what happens. If for nothing else, whenever I get out to Cadiz Dunes, I'll be able to look at the photos and say, look at these dunes. One terrible pun later, we were back in the RV, continued into the Mojave National Preserve. This took us past the familiar sites over at the Kelso Dunes, but we continued driving so we could make it over to camp before it got dark. And that's where we'll pick up next time. Our last night in Mojave National Preserve. I think we're in store for a good night though. We're gonna take a walk, see what we can see, and I'll show you the photos on the way. Let's get to it. I'm not sure what's more impressive, the fact that you got this TV working or the fact that you have internet access all the way out here. Well, so long as YouTube is still working for you, the subscribe button's down at the bottom. If you want to come along for the adventure for the next one, go ahead and hit it. I'll see you around. Take care. Bye.